And we're live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get into the Manchester United news. And there's some interesting stuff to talk about on a Sunday for once. So let's get into this. First and foremost, Antoine Griezmann to Manchester United. No, do not scratch your eyes. Do not check your calendars. It is not 2016. It is 2023. And we're going into 2024 really soon. Are we seriously going to be signing Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid? We tried this before. It didn't happen then. I would be stunned if this happens now, but I want to get talking on this story because honestly, this is the type of deal, the type of transfer we've made for a long time, and the type that we need to stay away from. Antoine Griezmann, around £350,000 per week. That is not the sort of talk we've been seeing about Manchester United recently. That is not the sort of talk we've been seeing that we're going to be doing with Radcliffe, looking at long-term planning. You can't tell me, seriously, that Antoine Griezmann is the long-term planning from Manchester United. But I want to get talking on this. So apparently United have been talking to Antoine Griezmann. He currently earns around €7 million annually and could see his salary increase to $21 million per year annually. Are we really going to pay this much money to have Antoine Griezmann in our club? I would be really surprised if we end up doing that. Absolutely stunned, truth be told. But it's something to talk about and something we want to look at. Look, we need goals. I think we will be in the January window, but I do not think Griezmann is going to be the option. The other stuff we want to talk about, Joao Neves from Benfica. This is the type of signing I think we should be making. This is the type of young player I want to see at the club. Really heavily recommended by a lot of people within the industry. Bruno Fernandes has also had his say on that deal as well. And obviously it's going to be a big week ahead. Sir Jim Radcliffe's deal is set to go through probably on Monday, probably Tuesday at the very latest in that one. Got 14 votes in the poll. We're asking you guys, would you take Griezmann in January? Let me know the thoughts down below. I don't know if this screams what we want to be seeing with our club at the minute. I really don't. Limman is saying Griezmann would be the worst signing the Mount. Listening, Bruno will increase player power as well. Let Sir Jim Radcliffe come so we can end the ownership debate. Yeah, I agree with all those points as well, man. I do. Look, I would love Joao Neves, and it's not on the recommendation of Bruno Fernandes or trying to keep him happy. It's because I genuinely think you have a top-level young player there who will go on to do a lot within the game and is the type of signing we should be making. But Benfica, man, Benfica will be making a lot of money if we come knocking, especially in January. Jordy, it's good to see you, man. Hope all is good as well. Good to see you. And yeah, look, guys, I'm looking forward to this tonight. Looking forward to a Sunday show. We didn't really get to do too much of these as well. So if you guys want to get those thoughts in down below, we'll go through them, of course, as we go along. But really, this Antoine Griezmann deal seems to be coming from Spanish sources, and it might be worth a look to see whether or not Griezmann's contract at Atletico is up anytime soon, because this is the sort of stuff we see really regularly whenever someone wants a new contract. Let's just say we're interested in Manchester United, and let's see if we can get a big pay increase from Atletico Madrid. Look, the time to sign Griezmann was 2016 when we first went in for him. Ultimately, we didn't get Griezmann. We went on and bought Lukaku. That was probably a mistake, all things considered, but what Griezmann did at Atletico probably really wasn't anything. Sorry, what he did at Barcelona was nothing really out of the ordinary either. I mean, look, he comes in, he's not a striker, he's not a wide player. We've seen this already. He kind of needs to play off his striker as well. So does he come in and play where Mount is or where Bruno is meant to be? I really doubt it. Jordy doesn't think Atleti will sell Griezmann. If it happens, then it could be a great signing. I mean, yeah, look, he's a great player. He is an absolutely great player, having a really good season at Atletico Madrid. But man, I would be so shocked if we bought him. It is the type of signing, if I saw us a year or two ago trying to make that sort of deal happen, I'd be like, Joe, what, that is absolutely what Manchester United would do, because that is the short-sighted signings that we would expect to see from this club. I would be stunned if we go out and buy Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid. I really would be, guys. Yeah, give those thoughts in down below. 57% say you would take Griezmann, 43% would not take Griezmann. I'm kind of siding on the fence that I don't think it's the right sort of signing. I mean, he turns 33 next year. Is this a long-term signing? Is this a deal that's going to help us for seasons and seasons to come? I really can't see it happening. Daniel goes, if Sir Jim does what change, but it would be odd. Yeah, it would be odd, absolutely. Daniel, it would be a very odd signing in my opinion. But look, a lot of people would be excited about this type of deal. Antoine Griezmann He's a top level player, make no mistake about it. And do we need goals? Absolutely we do. We need goals in this team really badly. I think when we look at the stats, 1 goal from all of our forwards in the Premier League already this season. Only 1 goal, and that was Rashford against Nottingham Forest. Does it make sense to go out and buy a striker, buy a goal scorer? Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. I think we got to feed the guys who got at the club currently better. But we also need more. We do need more. And Anthony Martial clearly is not going to be that guy. If we bring in a striker in January, yeah, I think that's a good move. Who we go for, I think, is an interesting one. What's going to be the plan here? Because, look, everything we've been hearing, everything we've been seeing online has always been about bringing in younger players, having this long-term plan, having the sporting directors come in, help pick the players, do lots of scouting, do lots of good recruitment, bring the right people in to make those calls. That's what we've been seeing for a really long time online, and I think that's the way we need to go. So why would we go after Antoine Griezmann in January with all that still going on in the background? I would be absolutely stunned if that was the case. Cressy says, wouldn't say no, but I'm saying what's the point? He's another player with about 2 years left in him. Chatsport says, United don't need another number 10 in Griezmann. No, I don't think we do. I think we've got a lot of number 10s. We've got Bruno, we've got Mount. Van de Beek is still at the club somehow. I mean, Eriksen can play there. It's arguably one of his better positions. Chatsport would take Morata. I mean, I do feel like we're kind of scraping the barrel with some of these guys. Look, Alvaro Morata's had a very good season at Atleti. He really has. But there's players at that club I would rather take as well than Griezmann or Morata or Koke. There are some good players in Atletico Madrid, but I just can't see us going to them. Like, I really can't remember any kind of deal we've made with Atletico in recent years. I think the last one might be David De Gea. I genuinely think that might be the last one. It's not a club we do business with very often. They do tend to have an older type squad. And look, they're playing really good football this year. It's a complete switch up from Simeone, scoring a lot more goals, playing more attacking football. I mean, Atletico Madrid play more entertaining football than Manchester United at the minute, but I just can't see Griezmann being that guy for us. Daniel says we need to get the wage bill down. Yeah, absolutely. FFP, definitely big considerations. And look, we don't want to fall foul of FFP at the minute. We've run a loss for the last 2 years. We need to be careful in what we do. Now, I think you can make up to around about 100, 120 million pounds in losses before you would be affected. I think that's what really happened with Everton. But certainly, we got to be watching that tightrope. Chrissy wants to see players brought on a lower wage. I would agree with that. And I think the way you get lower wages is by going younger in the market, man. I think when you're going for these guys towards the end of their career, or you're going for people kind of in the best years of their career as well, they're going to command a big transfer fee, big wages, and that's kind of what we've been doing for a long time. I think a change in model really is what we need. And look, if it's going to take a long time to pay off, if it's 2 to 3 years before we're really a team that can go out and really challenge for Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, yeah, I would rather do that. The other guy in the thumbnail, Joao Neves, now that is a signing I would love to see. I think he would come in and play multiple different positions. I don't think he's ready to be a number 6 all by himself, but certainly in midfield could be really good for us. That again is going to be a very expensive signing though. Although I do think it's interesting, and definitely keep an eye out on this one. We are being linked to a lot of players from the Portuguese league. Now look, Portuguese press, it can be unreliable. We know this already, but certainly there's a big theme of us looking at players in the Portuguese league. A lot of young players have come out of there in recent years. A lot of them have done really well elsewhere, and maybe it's somewhere we need to be hitting up more in terms of our overall transfer dealings. Moving into the future, lots of good young players in there, certainly from South America. You see them come through at the likes of Sporting Lisbon, Porto, Benfica. These are the clubs that we really start to see that at. It's going to be an interesting one. It is going to be an interesting one to watch out for. Certainly, I don't think Griezmann is the right type of signing for us. Do I think Joao Neves is? It's the right profile. We need midfielders. We do need better progressives in there. I think it could be a smart signing, but it would cost a lot of money. But it's one of those, it's like if we're going to do it, we got to do it now, because all of a sudden, if we wait a year, wait a season, and he does really well, we're looking at £100 million, because that's what it was for Enzo Fernandes. That's what it was for a lot of players coming out of Benfica. They do get a lot of big fees, and mostly because of their position in the Portuguese league as one of the best teams. They're always in the Champions League. They're always getting all that additional money. So they're not a club that needs to sell, and they can sit back and really command those big transfer fees. Something I think we want to be staying away from, really. I think if we're looking at 4 or 5 players needed per window, really, to reshape and remodel the squad, then I don't think spending £100 million on one player is going to be the answer moving forward. Sim is down there. We lost 42 million and lost for the last 3 years. Certainly a concern, man. You know, that is a big concern of mine. Got to be watching these FFP restrictions. I think wage bill going down lower will be needed. I think that's why we're seeing talk of Varane, your Casemiro's leaving. Those are players on big wages. Sancho, another one, not playing at all at the minute, and he does need to be moved on. Certainly in the upcoming window, I would expect that. And I mean, I really can't complain about it either. There's other stuff I want to go through on the show tonight as well. Want to get talking about some other potential transfer signings that we want to have a look at as well. Of course, Neves, Griezmann, they're the big ones at the minute, but there has been other talks. Ignacio from Sporting Lisbon, another potential one, would be really good. I just do want to quickly call back to what Bruno Fernandes was saying, because this is really where this story has took off from today. So Bruno Fernandes had said around Joao Neves, this is, he already plays alongside me in the national team, where only the best are admitted. He has a lot of qualities. He is so young and has lots of room for improvement. He's very humble and attentive. He likes to learn beyond what he already knows. He reads the game incredibly well for his age, and I would love him at Manchester United. So, I mean, Bruno's the one stoking the fires on that one. But we do actually have a story on Bruno Fernandes and Saudi Arabia. Now, this is an interesting one. Now, Bruno's going to be something we have to have a think about moving forward. Stats-wise, it has been good this season. In terms of performances, probably not catching the eye as much as he needs to, and not getting the assists that we need to see from Bruno Fernandes. But talking on Saudi Arabia, because last week there was a story of Bruno being linked for around about 100 million to the Saudi League. And they said, I am happy where I am, focused on United. I do not focus on rumours. I don't pay attention to them. Today it's very easy to spread rumours in the press and social media. I prefer to concentrate on my game and on my goals on the pitch. So Bruno kind of diminishing that, story. I mean, yeah, I'm happy enough with that. I don't really care too much about the initial Saudi stuff and as well, but I think Bruno's an interesting one. A guy approaching 30 years old next year. Really, I do feel bad for him. He's wasted some of the best years of his career at our club, and not got a lot to show for it. I do think Bruno could be a conversation point at some point. Maybe this is a player we need to move on, maybe in a year or two time. I think we've got to start planning for these things, really. Mixie is down there. That's a regime signature signing that really needs to change. I would agree with you as well, Mixie. Absolutely, that is a regime type signing. That is Antoine Griezmann is a Glazer type signing. Joao Neves might be the Ineos model of signing. Are both of them going to come to United in January? I would be surprised. But definitely do keep an eye out on it, because we will be busy in that January transfer window. Certainly going to be doing some kind of business. Expect outgoings, expect incomings. Radcliffe hopefully going to put some money in between now and the end of the year to make that happen. Let's see as well. Chatsport, big players, big goal scorers, big game players, consistent players get the big money. United do the opposite. Yeah, we do, man. And Sim says, check out the under-18s. My nephew scored 2 goals against Newcastle and played in the 6-0 against Leeds. Very good, man. Who's your nephew? I will definitely have a check out as well, if he's playing for the under-18s. Someone to keep an eye out on, I'm sure. Chatsport is down there as well. So yeah, look, it is getting interesting. Look, we're starting to see little pieces of this jigsaw come together, little pieces of the overall business we're going to be doing coming together as well. Got a story coming in here from the Daily Mirror. Manchester United have hired Pace, a Los Angeles-based agency, to screen for candidates and looking for emerging scout talent. So what are we doing? We're looking into the Americas, the South Americas. Really, I'm quite happy with that. Look, a lot of good players come from Brazil, Argentina every single year. All the South American countries produce a lot of players, and we tend to miss out on a lot of them. We do. And what we do end up getting, anytime we seem to buy a South American, they've normally gone to Ajax or Dortmund or Benfica or Sporting or Porto or any club like that, Dortmund. And that's a big issue as well, because look, We want to get these players early because that's going to give us them on a better contract for lower fees. We can bring more players in. We can do more stuff with it. We don't want whole summer-long transfer deals trying to buy a Jadon Sancho type player, trying to buy an Anthony type player. That's what we don't want to do. You take far less of a risk when you sign these players early. Look, Anthony was only at Ajax for a matter of years. He was only there for a matter of years at Ajax. We could have probably picked him up a lot earlier. And ultimately, I don't think Anthony's going to be good enough. I don't. But what I would say is if we picked him up earlier, we bought him for 5 or 10 million, then all of a sudden if he doesn't work out, it's not as big a deal. When you pay £80 million for a guy and he doesn't work out, that's a big deal. That is a massive waste. And we've done this for so long at our football club. We want to move away from that sort of stuff. Liman is down there as well. Is your hair salt and pepper? I don't really get that. Oh, Sim Sim. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one, man. An interesting story we want to get talking about as well is Andre Onana, potential for Altay Bayindir to make his first appearances for the club, something we could be looking forward to. So Onana will now be returning to Manchester United to undergo further testing on his injury. It remains to be seen whether he will be fit enough to play against Everton next weekend. Sim says, always say we'll curl the great goal against Newcastle. I'm going to have to go and watch the highlights now as well, see who it is. But yeah, look, definitely Andre Onana could be out for the next match, and I think it's interesting. Altay Bayindir had a good match against Germany last night for Turkey. I mean, from what we're seeing online, he looks to be a very good goalkeeper. All the talk, all the stuff coming out of the club to the various journalists seem to be saying that Bayindir seems to be a really good goalkeeper. Andre Onana said he's the best backup keeper he's ever worked with. He's got a real fight in his hands. He does have a real fight in his hand to manage to keep his place as well, especially with African Cup of Nations coming up, something to be watching out for. Onana potentially gone for January, most of February as well. I think an interesting story that's really come out in the last 10 minutes or so is United looking at hitting up some Everton players. Everton, of course, 10-point deduction. There might be further if there's an appeal, if they lose that appeal. And it is interesting to see what we might be doing. Those two players we're talking about is Jared Brandtwaite and Amadou Onana. Now, look, I'm a fan of both players. I think Onana will come in and give us those legs that we need in the middle of the pitch, certainly for me. And I do think Brandtwaite is a really good defender. Are they United quality? I'm not too sure. It will be interesting to see what happens moving on with that one. Of course, buying from Premier League, you're talking big, expensive signings, big money, of course. So really got to be watching out for these kind of deals as well. Liman goes, are we playing Everton on Sunday? What's my take on them, City and Chelsea? I mean, yeah, look, if we're talking financials, it's not looking good for Everton. It's not. Certainly, look, the losses have been piling up at the club. If they end up getting further deductions, and if they go down, that's a club in a lot of danger because they're getting sued for £300 million by 3 of the teams who went down over the last few years, and they're being sued for that reason because that's when the offences took place. I think it makes a lot more sense to punish at the time rather than go back and punish. Ultimately, if it remains 10 points, Everton will be completely fine. The Premier League standard at the bottom of the table this year, it's absolutely abysmal. Luton going to go down, Burnley going to go down, Sheffield United, guarantee it. Everton lost 10 points, a 10-point reduction after only 12 matches, and they're not even bottom of the league, and they're 2 points from getting away out of that relegation zone. Only 1 win needed. I mean, that is kind of crazy. I worry for us at the weekends because they're going to come out with a vengeance, and we've seen this before. Anytime United come up against a team who have had a big ordeal or a big event, tend to end up on the receiving end. I remember West Ham's last match at Upton Park. We got beat off the pitch in that one. Spurs beat us off the pitch at White Hart Lane when it closed as well in the last match there. So certainly for me, a little bit of concern. They're going to come out with a point to prove. Sean Dyche will be up for a fight, and ultimately Everton will be fine. They will be completely fine. If they get deducted more points, that's where it will get interesting, I think. I mean, look, it's laying down the letter of the law. The amount of damage that could be done to Chelsea and City, I mean, look, then you're talking really big stories there. Big conversations to be had. Let me have a look at these comments. Can see some of them coming in. Rajat does not want to see Griezmann. I don't want to see him either. Mixie says we buy decent players, pay a lot of money, and end up thinking about money and don't play well again. I do agree with that as well. I think a lot of clubs are kind of moving towards the model of incentivized contracts. It keeps people competitive. Ultimately, people and footballers that do care about money, if you tell them if you win a trophy this year, then they might be more inclined to work really hard and fight even when a match might be lost as well. You see that at Man City, Haaland on a lot of bonuses for scoring goals. I mean, that man's probably making a million extra a week by scoring a hat-trick against Luton Town and Burnley's and the likes. But certainly, I do think that's the way forward, because what that does really, it means that we can keep the official wage bill down, and that will be really beneficial, these kind of bonuses and stuff as well. It means their weekly salary guaranteed is lower. It's going to be lower on the books. And then if they do well, we get to pay them more. And if they're not doing well, we don't pay as much for them. That makes a lot of sense to me as well. Let me see. Missy is down there. Onana is my countryman. I'm writing from Cameroon. Very good, man. Good to see everyone around the world. Of course, all united by Manchester United, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, it's good. It's good. It's good. But yeah, look, hopefully Onana is going to be okay. We might see Bayern there at the weekend. Be a difficult match at Goodison Park to be thrown into. Everton actually playing quite well in recent weeks. Let me see, Rajad is down there. Maybe they'll win next time. Did Bruno talk about Joao or Ruben Neves? He talked about Joao Neves, not Ruben Neves, thankfully. Look, I was a fan of Ruben Neves for a while, but I think, yeah, look, that ship has sailed well and truly at this moment in time, and I don't think we're going to see Ruben Neves at United. We might see him at Newcastle if they can bend the rules to try loan players from the Saudi League, of course. I wouldn't be surprised. That would not shock me or surprise me whatsoever, but certainly, Joao Neves is an interesting player, really good controller of play, good reader of the game. I don't think he's got the physicality. If we went to Everton and got Amadou Onana now, that's a different kettle of fish altogether, because all of a sudden you've got a real good controller of the game, you've got a real good physical powerhouse beside him in Amadou Onana. You could probably put Andre Onana in there as well, but Onana's carries, the way he can storm up the pitch, really, really good. And I think that could be an interesting signing for sure. Liman says, am I interested in cricket? No, I'm not really, man. Cricket would be one of the only real sports I'm not too interested in. Not really. I don't really bother too much with the like the American sports. Maybe a little bit of NFL, but I mean, I like the football, obviously, rugby, the Gaelic games in Ireland, of course. Love that there stuff. Love boxing, the UFC. Even watch Bellator from time to time, even though that's even though that's an interesting one. Chasport said, what's up with Onana? He did seem to have an injury against on international duty for Cameroon. I can't quite put my finger on who they were playing, can't really remember, unfortunately, but he went off with a shoulder problem. That seems to be Onana's issue at the minute. It seems to be a shoulder problem. He's left the national team, going back to United, going to have some testing, and that's hopefully going to help him out, and I hope he can play at the weekend. I think he's actually, certainly since that Copenhagen penalty save, I think he looks a much, much better goalkeeper. Yes, I want to see better in terms of what he does with the ball at his feet, but I think we don't help him in that regard. I wouldn't mind seeing him coming out of the penalty box and sweeping up somewhere as well, because I think he can do it. It maybe just a confidence thing, but certainly in terms of shot stopping, very good. Second most clean sheets in the Premier League somehow. But yeah, Onana is injured, Rajad. Liman says he misses David De Gea. There's an interesting story out there for David De Gea as well, for anyone interested in the former goalkeeper, and he did reject the opportunity to go to Al Nassr for £500,000 per week. I don't know if he's got a deal lined up or if he might just retire at this rate, but certainly De Gea has been out of the game for a very long time at this moment. Well, in this current moment, really from the 1st of July, hasn't had a club whatsoever, and really hasn't had a lot of interest. He hasn't at all. Chatsport said, will be interesting to see Altay Bayandere. Yeah, it will be, definitely. And Bayandere, by all accounts, had a pretty good match for Turkey against Germany as well. Certainly seemed to make some good saves in that. Rajat said, damn, need a many Tom to play one game. I mean, we could say that as well. But yeah, look, Turkey beat Germany last night. I guess that's the big story in the internationals. Bayandere seemed to have a good match in that one. Let me load up some of the guys' stats as well. Just for a quick look at that, if possible. But certainly seemed to have a good match as well. Any more thoughts, guys? Make sure to get them in down below. And of course, look, the big story is going to be coming up this week, guys. It's going to be, of course, the Manchester United takeover. Something we've been looking forward to for a hell of a long time. Something we've been wanting to see for many, 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 many months. Ultimately, I was expecting it on Friday. We did get a report from Bloomberg saying deal agreed on Friday, so it was pretty much done at that point. So, according to United Stand, now they say it might not be announced tomorrow, but certainly later this week. I don't know. I think tomorrow could be the potential. I think tomorrow might be the day we see it, and it will be an interesting one for sure. To see what happens there. Will this deal be announced this week? Can we get cracking really at getting this fit and proper ownership test done as well? Let me just have another double check here on Altay Bayinder's match against Germany. I think he made quite a lot of saves in that one as well. Yeah, it looks like 10 saves last night. Some good distribution. So, I mean, at least he's played a match this week, so that's good. If called upon, he should be fairly sharp as well. Let me see as well. Rizak goes down. Oh, wait for what? Havertz was playing left back. He was. The man says, should Ten Hag play Rashford at left back? No, man, absolutely not. I don't want to say that. I don't think you want to say that either. I could not imagine that being a good idea. I just couldn't. I mean, look, there's different positions. You could maybe put some people. Maybe we put Andre Onana into midfield. But I don't want to see Marcus Rashford at left back, guys. I really don't. Drop a like on the video as well. We're up to 22 likes as well. Much appreciated, guys. And what's Rajat going? Was probably left wing. Has Havertz? Now he played left back as well. Arsenal are short on left back as well. Yeah, because kind of like a wing back type system, but certainly didn't look confident either. In terms of the poll, guys, very, very, very split. 52% going to go for yes, I would take Griezmann, and we have 48% going to go for no, they would not be taking Antoine Griezmann in January as well. I think, yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy whose best days are probably behind him. Yes, he's playing well for Atletico now, but that's a team playing well in the whole. Certainly for me, I think Griezmann's an interesting one. 5 years ago, yeah, absolutely would have took the guy. 26, 27, absolutely would have loved him. I would have took him when he left Real Sociedad. I thought he was really good there, and he would have been a smart signing at the time. But that's the type of signings we don't make at Manchester United. And if you told me in January, would you guys want to pay £350,000 per week, as is being talked about in the news, for a man who is 32 years old? I mean, I think questions would be asked. They really, really would be. It would be the exact same as signing the likes of Casemiro, the exact same as signing the likes of Ronaldo or Cavani. These are the types of signings I want to see us avoid. Whilst they might come in and be good for a short period of time, it's always a short period of time. That's the thing. We want to be long-term planning, having people who are going to be here for 3, 4, 5 years, who might outlive 1 or 2 managers if results don't go that way on the pitch. That's what we want to see. People brought in to play a certain style of football with a long-term plan, long-term strategy. I think that's really the way we've got to go for it as well. I think, interestingly, some quotes have emerged from Paul Mitchell. Now, Paul Mitchell is a man who very, very much is on the radar of Manchester United at this moment in time. A man who we could be seeing as a sporting director at the club, and a man I want to see brought in. And he basically had said last year, Erik ten Hag is a top level coach, but what United also need is an elite level strategy from the top, and really that's what we've got to be seeing. Top down recruitment, top down planning from the executives, from the owners, and that's how we get the consistency we need, because managers come and go, players will come and go, but if we have a long-term plan on how we want to play, we can always adapt to that, bring the players in who are going to work in that system. So those are interesting quotes from Paul Mitchell that are resurfacing at the moment as well. Sim says won't be announced before New York Stock Exchange. No, it will not be. It will be. The way it works is the Class B shareholders, Glazer family, soon to be Jim Radcliffe and the likes, and the board, they will know that it's happened. They will know that it's done well ahead of time. They've been the guys negotiating the entire thing. Class A shareholders will not be given that information, and they will be given it at the same time we receive it announced to the New York Stock Exchange. That's what we're going to be seeing. Let me see. Rajat goes, no, let's not get Griezmann. He's very close to 33, 34. Yeah, he is definitely too old. Just too old to be spending that kind of money on, be putting that kind of money in a contract, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts, but I just think it's too long, really. Let me see. Leman is saying, what's the difference between Pogba and Griezmann? Well, I mean, they're completely different players, really. Obviously, they're both French. Obviously, they've had big moves not go their way in their careers, and they're both now in their 30s, and both of them are players I think we should have been staying away from. Really, look, I I wouldn't want to see United go back in for Pogba. I don't want to see us go in for Griezmann. That's my opinion. Although, going by the poll at the minute, just about 52% of you guys are agreeing with me. Griezmann might not be the long-term plan. I think a lot of us are in the same boat really with this. We don't want to see 32, 33-year-olds signed on a lot of money who we might be stuck with for 2 to 3 years. I mean, Griezmann is a player who might start to get injured again. That did happen a lot when he was at Barcelona. He struggled with the injuries. Ultimately, that's kind of half the reason why he ended up leaving Barcelona. He went back to Atletico, did well, they re-signed him, and ultimately, I think he will be happy where he is. Stephanie's in the comments as well. We're up to 25 likes as well. Much appreciated, guys, on this one. Welcome to everybody joining in with the stream. Welcome to the channel if you guys are new as well. Let me know your thoughts. Would you guys be taking Antoine Griezmann in January? A lot of people, a lot of sources out there are saying that this could be a deal that United are looking at. Maybe we have talked to him. I think this absolutely screams of Griezmann looking another contract. Sim's down there as well. Rajak goes, nothing about Frimpong? No, nothing at the minute, man. Jeremy Frimpong's a player I do like. I think that could be an interesting type signing for me. I would love to see him brought in. I really, really would. I think he's probably what we need on the right-hand side, more of an outlet from the right-back position, and that gives Luke Shaw the ability to drop into midfield, something he's really good at as well, inverting. And I think that gives us the balance that we want to see as well. I think, yeah, look, I like Wan-Bissaka. I'm not the biggest fan of Diogo Dalot. Everybody knows this at this point. But I don't think that when Luke Shaw comes back, and when Shaw's the guy doing the overlapping running, moving forward up the pitch, do we trust Wan-Bissaka on the ball enough to drop into those midfield areas? Probably not. So I think if we had Frimpong on that side, we put Luke Shaw in there to go a little bit tactically, a little bit in depth with that. But yeah, I think Frimpong will be a really good signing. Brings us goals, brings us assists, a lot of pace in there. Question marks over his defending at times. Now, 1v1, he is very, very solid, but he does have those same issues we see in Dalot's game, we see in Wan-Bissaka's game sometimes, and that's losing the man at the back post, something that I really want to see us move away from. Far too many goals we concede by the fullback, not knowing there's a guy running in behind them at the back post, and they get tap-ins, and it's been this way for quite a while. I think it's an issue with the fullbacks as well. Wasim is down there. United must stop buying big name players. Yes. I think you can buy big name. Make no mistake about it. There's big name players out there who would make a big difference to our team. I think big name players who are not over the age of 30, I think that's a good place to start. I think maybe we need to go back to the Fergie type model. Fergie had a plan, and Fergie had a long-standing thing where he did not buy players over the age of 27 because they wouldn't be here long enough for him really to have them for the length of time he wanted. Maybe we go back to something like that and lower the age of the squad. I think the average age at the minute in the entire squad is something like 28. A lot of that is from some older players as well. Obviously, Casemiro's, the Varans, the Ericssons, these are older type players in there who are bringing that age up, and a lot of them play week in, week out, or they would do when they're fit. I think we want to move away from that. I do think we want to move towards younger players out there, and that's going to give us better results in the long term. I think you're better buying someone at 22, 23 who are about to go on to hit their peak at the club and really go out there and smash it up, really hit top levels, than buying a player who is on the other side of that hill, who's on the decline, who might start off at a high level as well, but they go down instead of going up. And that's what I think we need to be moving towards. Chesswork goes, always thought Wamba would make a good centre-back. Yeah, I mean, I think something about Wan-Bissaka is I do rate the guy. I really like him in terms of his work rate, in terms of what he does on the pitch. Defensively, there is nobody better at the club in terms of the tacklings, the 1v1s, the blocks. Everything he does is so good. I just don't know if he reads the game well enough and if he is good enough in terms of passing out of the back to be a centre-back in that regard. I think, yeah, as a full-back, I think he's a really good option. I think Wan-Bissaka I would keep for sure. I would move on Diogo Dalot, I would bring in Frimpong. And I think with Frimpong and Wan-Bissaka, you have two very different type of fullbacks. you're coming up against Liverpool, say, or you're coming up against a big team like Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain. You're coming up against Mbappe's. You're coming up against Luis Diaz. You're coming up against Sterling's. You're coming up against Vinicius. What you want to have is Aaron Wan-Bissaka on there. Wan-Bissaka is going to shut them down for a lot of the match. They might still get a goal, but he will take them out. Certainly be really good at that. When you come up against the likes of Bournemouth, you come up against Everton, who are sitting back, being deep. Maybe Wan-Bissaka is not the guy we want to see there. Maybe we want to see someone who's going to be able to put really good crosses into the box, set up goals, maybe get a goal himself, and that's what Frimpong is to me. So I think that is two different profiles, two different players, and I do think, certainly for me, that they will work really, really well together as well. Let me see. Limon is your nephew's second goal was offside as well. Yeah, I'm seeing that there one. Any more thoughts, guys? Make sure get them into the comments. Keep voting on that poll as well. 44% are saying that they would not take Antoine Griezmann in January, and 56% are saying no as well. Big ups as well on the 26 likes, guys. Much appreciated. And yeah, let's go through some of the other stuff we want to get talking about. I will go back over the Joao Neves story because, look, on one hand, I think you can say, should players be telling the club who to sign, what players they need to buy? No, they shouldn't. Absolutely, they're not. But certainly for me, Joao Neves is the type of player I'd love to see at the club. I think you've got a really, really talented young player there, reads the game so well, gets on the ball, can dictate things, can read it, sweep up in behind. Is he as physical as I would like him to be? Maybe not. Maybe he isn't quite at that level just yet, but I do think he has a lot of qualities in his game. Definitely on the ball, really, really top level young player. So young as well. I think you bring in a different profile alongside him. I think you get really good results. I think someone like an Amadou Onana would be really good in terms of the physicality I think we lack in midfield sometimes. I think we need more ball carriers as well, really in the middle of the pitch and throughout the team. There's a lack of players who will get on the ball and run with it, go past players. I think that's what I want to see brought in. And I think we see that in midfield. I think Kobbie Mainoo will be a player who will do that. Luke Shaw will do that when he's back. But apart from them, I think there's a real lack of legs in this team. Look, you would love to see Garnacho running at players. We see that quite often. Do we see it enough from Rashford? Do we see it enough from Anthony? Do we see it from the midfield with Mount or Bruno or Eriksen or Casemiro? McTominay, we don't see that enough. I think that different levels that we haven't quite got here at the moment that we would like to see as well. Let's see, Rashad is down there. No coach and players have to take blame. Glazers too. Yeah, absolutely, man. At least you know to have Mainoo. Well, Ten Hag use Mainoo, says Luman. Yeah, I think he should. I think when we look at what we were doing in the summer sort of pre-season period, I think that might be an interesting place to look at, because Kobbie Mainoo was playing deep. He was playing in the number 6. I think he's better a little bit further, probably in the number 8 position. So I think Kobbie Mainoo could come in to that Christian Eriksen role. I think Joao Neves maybe comes in there as well as competition, perhaps, and you kind of rotate between those players. Kobbie Mainoo can play deeper as well, can play in the number 6, maybe not his best position, but you want to get that guy on the ball as much as possible. Same if we brought in Joao Neves. And then I think it's an interesting one what happens at number 10, because I actually think Mason Mount, the profile that he is, the type of work he does on the ball, I think that's maybe more what we're going to move towards. He might be the successor to Bruno Fernandes in this team. Bruno is 29. As good as he is approaching 30, and I know the guy's a robot. I know that guy never gets injured, never gets tired, but he will eventually have the sell-by date, and that will come at some point in the future. The massive bid came in for him in 18 months time. Next summer, Bruno would be turning 31. And if someone came in from Saudi Arabia with 50, 60, 70 million, maybe even more, then I think that's a question that you have to ask. You have to start to look towards. Ultimately, look, we got bigger problems than Bruno Fernandes in our team. Lack of goals, lack of clean sheets, the lack of general legs in there as well. Massive concerns. Jasper would like Decore at Everton. Yeah, I would definitely like to see him as well. Would I swap Onana for Pickford? No, absolutely not. What United players get in the City 11, says Wasim. That's a good question. Joel, I will entertain that as well. Let me have a quick look. I'll do the most recent City team for their last Premier League match. Who were they playing? Chelsea, wasn't it? I think it was Chelsea. I think they lost 4-4 that match. Yes, it was Chelsea. Let me quickly run through this. I'll let you know my honest thoughts. It might be less than we want to see. Let's see. So Ederson or Onana, I'm probably going to take Ederson. Wan-Bissaka or Kyle Walker. I mean, you're kind of split there, but I'll probably take Kyle Walker, all things considered. I actually, look, controversially, I do not think there is as much between Ruben Diaz and some of our defenders as there is at the minute. I don't think the gap's as big as we think it is. Does Maguire get in there? Probably not. But Lindelof probably doesn't get in there. I think left back's an interesting one because on form, Luke Shaw would get in there. I would probably take Lisandro Martinez over Gvardiol at full levels if we get the leaks from last year. I mean, midfield, not a lot's getting in there. I don't think Bruno gets in there. I don't think Casemiro gets in there. I don't think Mount gets in there. Rashford on top form versus Doku. I mean, Rashford is ridiculous on top form, but that top form comes very, very irregularly at the minute, not a constant. Haaland, yeah, he gets in there as well. Foden as well over Anthony. I mean, look, not a lot, man, not a lot. For sure. Want to get back to some of the other stories now because United stand to put out a statement in the last couple of minutes. Basically, we might not see this Radcliffe deal go through on Monday. Now, they had said that it's unlikely but not impossible that the Sir Jim Radcliffe announcement will come tomorrow. So, something to keep an eye out on, something we will see this week, and we will cover it live and direct on the channel as always. Thanks very much, guys, for 27 likes as well. Much appreciated. Really do like this stream as well. There seems to be a lot of people in here. Much appreciated as well. Obviously, the channel has had a lot of issues with YouTube, but maybe these earlier streams can negate some of that as well. So big ups to everyone involved so far. 37 votes on the poll. 43% are saying they would not take Griezmann. And 57% are saying no. So more people starting to say no. I think a lot of people would have took Griezmann at some point in his career. Maybe when he first left Atletico Madrid. Maybe when he left Real Sociedad. Maybe even when he left Barcelona. Maybe that could be a time we could have took him. But I think now he's just it's too late in the day really to do this. Too late to have a look at this type of player at his current age, on the wages he probably demands, and think it's a good deal. I just cannot get behind paying £300,000 per week to sign a guy who is 32 coming on to 33. This is something we've done for a long time with Ibra, with Cavani, Ronaldo, Falcao, Van Persie, even if we want to go further back. It's a long list, not even just in the striker positions. Eriksen probably not going to last too much longer. Casemiro, Varane, these are the type of players who, yes, they come in, make a big impact in their first while at the club, but they're in the decline of their career. It's only going to go down. I want to see players come in nice and early, who are on the rise, who are going to become genuine top players at Manchester United. That's the type of stuff we want to see. Look at the signings we're seeing from City. City are signing young players. They really are. It could be easy for Pep to go out there, buy players in their prime, but he's going out and buying the Dokus, the Haalands of this world, the Gvardiols, players like that. And ultimately, that's going to be better for City in the long run. And that's kind of what I think we need to get to as well. Liman goes, do I miss the Premier League? Or is fine, kind of a break? Do you know, man, in the last match, in our last match before the international break, I think it was Fulham. Fulham away, I think, or was it Luton? No, it was Luton, sorry. It was Luton. We were all crying out looking for that international break. We were just like, man, we need some time. Go over the international break. Eric Ten Hag, sit down, think about what you're doing, reset things, really have a better style of play when we come back. Now we're here, we miss it. It's one of these things. It's like when football isn't going well, you want an international breaks. As soon as we get them, we're like, why are these the things? So soon it's gonna be over. I think we play in 1 week's time against Everton at Goodison Park. Will be a watch along for that. Looking forward to it. United Till I Die is down below. Radcliffe deal is going to be really good. Will take some time to put in place, but it's better than just having Glazers as owners. I completely agree. I completely agree with that as well. I think 100%. Yeah, look, it might take time. It might take time to be really effective, but I think it's going to be better than the alternative. The alternative, unfortunately, was Joel and Avram running the show again and being stuck in endless loops of 1 step forward, 2 steps back, sacking managers here, sacking managers there, buying the Antoine Griezmanns of the world. That's what we want to move away from. Is Radcliffe what we want to see? Is Radcliffe the guy who we really wanted all summer long? No, it's not. It's not the deal we wanted, but it's the deal we're getting. So let's hope that everything works out as well. Let me see. Tasport says Tammy Abraham. I mean, Tammy Abraham's an interesting player. He was linked to United at one point. I can't see us going back in for that type of deal, but he is the kind of experienced striker we might want to bring in. I think Ivan Toney would be another really good example of a player I would love to see brought in to the club. But I don't know if it's going to happen with the wages, with the fee Brentford would be demanding. I don't know if that's going to be possible. I'm not 100% convinced. I would love it if it was true, but certainly for me, I think Tammy Abrams is an interesting one. Some players I would look at, and I'll quickly go through some of these. Some of these are more out there suggestions, so just bear with me. I will go through Wasim's comment here as well. Who's the best player? The best player for United in 10 years is Ander Herrera. I mean, he's one of my favourites for sure. I think Bruno probably has been the best signing in the last 10 years. I mean, otherwise you're looking at Rashford perhaps in terms of the goals scored. The bar is low. Let's just say the bar is very, very, very low at the minute. So yeah, look, some interesting players I would like to see United have a look at. I think Tobito's certainly one I would love to see brought in. Scalvini's an interesting one. Can play centre back and defensive midfield. I think he's better midfield. I think he's kind of reminds me of when Declan Rice was coming through at West Ham, and initially he was played as centre back sometimes, and it was question marks what his best role was. And when he made that jump to midfield, never looked back. Never ever looked back. So I think that's definitely some players I would love to see. Diamond would be fantastic, but I think we might be priced out of it. Joao Neves, top level player. Would love to see Joao Neves. I mean, I think in terms of ball carriers, Nicolo Barella is an interesting one. I know some of you guys have been talking for a long time about Barella, but he could be an interesting one to bring in for sure. I think we need right wingers. Two of the players really standing out for me at the minute is Nico Williams and Johan Bakayoko. I think Williams is an interesting one because he naturally kind of plays on the left-hand side, but he's done really well on the right for Athletic Bilbao. Will that be a case that we bring him in like Jadon Sancho and he doesn't want to play on the right wing? He wants to move to the left? Because that doesn't answer the questions. Bakayoko, you're looking at a really, really good player, scoring a lot of goals for PSV, young, up and coming. Look, if we buy him, we're going to get the Dutch signing accusations again, but I think it would be worth it. I think this is a genuine top-level player, and he probably doesn't go for as much. I think Neto would be an interesting one as well. I think we do need a striker. I mean, we could also look at Santiago Jimenez from Feyenoord. I like him. I don't know. A couple of options. Ivan Toney, maybe a different one. Terem Moffi could be an interesting signing as well to be looking out for. I had a look at him when he was playing for Lorient last year. He did really well. Really did. Let me see who we've got. Lumango's would I rather the Glazers sold the club to the Qataris had Sir Jim not come. I think they probably would have sold it to the Qataris if that was the case, but I don't think they ever really got to the levels needed in terms of the bid. Not for full ownership that the Glazers wanted. And look, we know they're a greedy bunch, and it was always going to take an extortionate amount of money, but that's ultimately what happened. Let me see as well. United Matoma would be a lovely signing. Graceful winger, no waste of movement. Yeah, look, Matoma's the kind of ball carrier I would like to see as well. I think, again, look, I like Marcus Rashford, but when we look at Rashford as a player and we look at the stats, it's like outside, right? So outside of Højlund, if we don't look at Højlund, for instance, we'll even do Premier League. We'll do Premier League and we'll include Rasmus Højlund because there's no goals there as well. In the last season and this season, strikers have only scored 4 goals and Rashford's been in the team. Is that a consequence of his style of play? I don't know. I feel like Matoma would bring us more balance and give us more chance creation. Can score goals as well. That's something I want to see from Rashford. There was a time he picked up a lot of assists, and he's really moved away from that in his game. I think, yeah, got to be better than that. I think he's a player really who we need to get more out of as well. Big up some 31 likes as well, guys. Much appreciated. Really appreciate all the support, of course. 49% of you guys are saying yes to Griezmann, and 51 are saying no. Sims goes, we all love United since 1964, man. That's incredible. Like, I know my dad's always been a lifelong supporter as well, myself included, but I mean, the earliest memories. I actually think the first United match I ever watched that I can remember was 2004 FA Cup final. I think we played Millwall at the Millennium Stadium. Ronaldo scored. It was a real walk in the park, really, for an FA Cup. But that was the first one I really do remember. Ultimately, I sort of came into United at a good time. Let's put it that way. Obviously, went on, won lots of Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, all that did follow, and since then we have been punished. But I think we're looking at a new era. I said new era during the week. I would stand by that. I think we're coming into a different time, and we've played our last match with full Glazer ownership and full Glazer control, and that for me is going to be a big thing. It might not mean much on the pitch. It might not mean much in this moment in time, but I do feel like a new chapter is coming. I do feel like a new era is beginning at our football club, and I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, and we're just gonna have to see what happens in the next 2, 3 years and beyond. And beyond. Certainly going to be an interesting time. It's not what everybody wanted. I know a lot of people wanted full ownership, full seal, Qatar. It unfortunately didn't happen. And now we're looking at Jim Ratcliffe coming in, but we're going to find out what's going to be happening there as well. Sim goes, I was there when the King backheeled the ball for City. Oh, man. That must have been heartbreaking as well. Yeah, look. So some great memories, some great times as well at United. And look, we've come back from worse positions than we find ourselves in now as well. I said this before as well. We've come back from worse. As bad as we have been with recruitment, as bad as we have been for the last 10 years, we have finished within the top 4 quite often. We're typically at the top end of the league, 5th, 6th maybe. So really some competent ownership probably comes in and makes a big difference. And the gap might not be as big as maybe we think. Yes, we are leagues behind City in a lot of ways, but can we catch up on the pitch? Maybe we can. Maybe we can within 2 to 3 years. It always feels like it's 2 to 3 years away, but maybe it actually is this time as well. United tell like that as well is down there. No more throwing money at signings. We need to take a Bayern Munich approach to deals. Yes and no. Bayern, they buy young, they buy smart, they really, really have a big game plan. What they do a lot is they cherry pick the best players from the Bundesliga, and it works in the Bundesliga because there's not as much money. There really isn't. And Bayern, with all the money they have, they can really just go to clubs and bully them out of their best players. If we wanted to buy Pedro Neto, that's going to cost us £60 million from Wolves, and Wolves are a team who probably are going to be bottom half. If we wanted to buy Elise from Crystal Palace, who might be in a relegation fight this year, then all of a sudden that's going to be 60 million. So I don't know if that model is directly applicable. I think maybe we take an approach like a Real Madrid. Some of their signings have been really interesting, really lowering the age of that team. You know, Camavinga's, Gimenez, Valverde's, of course, Bellingham's, Vinicius, Rodrigo. You know, they have been signing younger players and building up a team that's going to compete for a long, long time. I think that's probably the better way to work it. Yes, definitely have the sports-based approach of Bayern Munich, have the pro-based, these intelligence-based operations, but I don't know if we can really afford to go and cherry-pick best players from Premier League like we did before. I would love it if we could, but unfortunately I don't think we're in that kind of era now. Le Mans, I think he's talking Dennis Law, English Stretford End, of course, part of the holy trinity of Manchester United. Matata is down there looking Le Mans to banter him. Look, guys, any more thoughts, make sure to get them in down below. 47 votes in the poll as well. 51% said yes, they would take Griezmann in January. 49% said no, they would not. So we're actually very, very split on this one. It's kind of like the question I asked you guys the other night as well about Sir Alex Ferguson advising Jim Ratcliffe. Are you for it? Are you against it? You know, very, very split. I like to see a split poll. Sometimes when we ask about do we think Radcliffe's going to do a good job at United, or did we think that Sheikh Yassim was going to buy over the club in its entirety? A lot of it's almost 100% going to go for yes. You know, that tends to be it. I like a debate as well. EE Football is down there as well. Good to see him, man. Rashad is down there. All good. Yeah, all good, man. And yeah, let me have a quick check and see if anything else we want to talk about just before we head off as well. Let me see. Not really too much. Not really too much at all. Pretty quiet. It's been a quiet international break. If anyone remembers the last international break and the one before that, you know, really what we've seen was drama and the club falling apart over and over again and fighting within the club. I like a quiet international break, and you know, beating Luton Town, beating Fulham, winning a couple of matches before the break really, really keeps things on the DL as well. It does. United tell I definitely no to Griezmann. That era has passed. I agree. it could be like signing Alexis Sanchez all over again. Let's not fall into that trap. Let's not buy a player in January for a lot of money and then have to pay him off because nobody wants him a year later. Let's not fall into that trap. Let's be smart with the money we're going to get, and let's buy some better players, some younger players going to be here for the longer part of their career, on the upside, going up rather than going down. That's what we got to do. Long-term planning, long-term signings, be smart with the money, sign the right players, and we might just find ourselves being a better team on and off the pitch, picking up more points. All right, guys, I think we're going to leave it here, so thanks so much for joining in with me. I will be live tomorrow as well, normal time, probably around 7 p.m. As well, but certainly, guys, make sure to check that out tomorrow. And yeah, have a good Sunday night, have a good Monday if you guys are working or whatever you guys are getting up to, and I will see everyone in the next one.